Hello.
Oh,
Welcome.
hi. Hello, Sophie, and hello, Anna. Welcome to your first Flourish Financially Money Conversation.
Yes.
There.
Oh, Nana, so nice to see you both and everybody who is joining us today. We're super excited about this one.
Yes, indeed. We are here today again for another Flourish Financially Money Conversation with a very interesting topic. How can we embrace our financial past to build our future?
Let me bring just the wonderful slides. We're not going to go through a lot of them, but that's the 14th money conversation that we're having. And our special guest today is Anna Tsyupko, who is a coach, an entrepreneur, and also a recent graduate from the Flourish Financially program. So for the people who are new to all this, perhaps we need to say a few words about like what is this all about? Flourish Financially, Money Conversations, and what is the program?
Let's do that indeed. And first, just a few words to introduce who is in the studio with us, Anna, and of course, Sophie and myself, for those of you who don't know us yet, and what do we stand for as Flourish Financially. And then we are going to go to the main conversation with Anna, who has very kindly accepted this invitation to share something about her personal journey. And then we are going to also have a more interactive wrap up. We would love to also hear from the audience who are online. Some questions and reflections, as always. That's very nice. And last but not least, we also have a invitation and a special gift at the end for 3 participants who want to actually get personal advice relevant to their situation.
Yeah, and get to the next level. So perhaps I can say a few words about what is Flourish Financially. So this is, in a way, this initiative that we've created together with Minna about, I would say, a year and a half ago. And it's our own take on bringing together the expertises that often are separate of mindset, positive psychology, and financial expertise, financial planning. So we decided that it's really something that can bring the reflection and the self-discovery to the next level. And we wanted specifically to support women on that journey to get more confidence, more clarity on their finances. Thus the idea of Flourish Financially.
Very good. So today in our studio, perhaps before going more into detail, Anna, would you like to say a little hello from yourself to our listeners? Tell a bit something about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Minna, and thank you both, Minna and Sophie, for having me here today. It's such an honor to be invited to this conversation and to talk through some things that are really close to my heart and that your program massively facilitated. So just a few words about myself. My background is originally in kind of the startup world and the fintech world, where I ran a payments technology business before joining another payments technology business, but really realizing that what I love the most is working with people and getting the most and best out of people. So I then trained as a leadership coach, which is what I do as of today and as of the last few years. And obviously, as a coach, one of the things that's really important to me is self-awareness and introspection and living life intentionally. And that also goes for money and finances. So I've known for a while that I want to be more intentional about that. And through your course, that is kind of where I got to, and I'm excited to share a bit about that today.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Thank you so much, Anna. And so indeed, it's a bit of a merging of the spirits today, because as part of the Flourish Financially initiative, we have created this space for the money conversations, where we've been in the past few months, for about a year now, having different topics one by one. And we've also created the program, which is really a wealth and mindset academy for women, and where we propose this transformation that you've been through, also inspired by the transformation that we've been living through with Minna, a bit individually and also together. So here today is really the topic about your journey and how this fits in the universe of the concepts of Flourish Financially. So the agenda for today is really, we've more or less covered the welcome and introduction, but we're going to say a few words very rapidly on both Minna and my background, just to place it also in this idea of what we're doing with Flourish Financially. And then we're going to have the main conversation with you, of course. We have a few questions, but we want this to be super free flow. So it's going to be a pleasure to do that. And after that, yes, we're going to have the wrap up and the invitation perhaps for the next steps. So Minna, what about you?
Thank you so much for the introduction, Sophie. So for those of you who maybe don't know me, who are online as well, so I am a financial well-being coach. It is kind of my mission in the world to help people, especially women, to be more empowered financially, to feel good about their wealth, their money, their finances, help them to build more financial freedom so they can live their lives in a way that they want. And I do this, of course, in Flourish Financially together with Sophie. That's like our heart initiative to do this community for women. But I also do workshops with organizations. I also have individual coaching clients. From my background, I was born and raised in Finland, now living in Switzerland. And yeah, I spent a long time in the financial industry, but that didn't mean that I was very well taking care of my own finances. So I was also pushing back this topic for a very long time for various reasons. And I've since made a turnaround in my life. And now I really love investing in finances, and I love to help also others on this. I'm also a certified financial advisor. So I'm constantly training myself to become a better advisor, hopefully to others as well. So that's very briefly about me.
Yes, amazing. And so my specialization in that context is really about the coaching of women with regards positive and financial psychology frameworks. I have also, separately from the initiative of Flourish Financially, a coaching business. We decided to create this together with Minna to really step up actually what can be done for women in the context of taking control of our financial life. And I like also to approach things from the angle of science. So I'd say that's a bit like the special take that or special twist that I put on most of the tools that we use in Flourish Financially. And I live in Luxembourg, right? That would be also one of the specific things to mention. Minna being based in Switzerland, in Zurich. So we're doing a lot of this work remotely. But we also have sometimes live events in person, and we're going to mention the next one coming up, actually, in Switzerland very soon. So, yeah, Flourish Financially, we already said a little bit what it is about, but in a nutshell, it's really about going beyond figures, beyond numbers. It's bringing together personal growth and financial planning or financial situation exploration. So we noticed together with Minna before we met, and then when we met, we saw that we agreed that we felt there was a bit of a gap. Either you had a very financial approach focused on the numbers, perhaps a little bit to erase the emotional aspects, And on the other hand, maybe the coaching, mindset coaching, overly focused almost on thinking positive and not really bringing together how you can concretely take action, concretely change your financial situations with regards numbers. So yeah, that's why we created that. And now we can
Yes. So
record.
let's get into the conversation, and I think now we can maybe even take the slides away for a while so we can see each other better. And one thing, just for the audience who are there live with us at the moment, we would love to keep this interactive. So if you have any questions, comments, something resonates with you while we're speaking, like, please use the comments. You can even use that now to say hello, or you know, say, for example, where you're joining us from. If you're especially on holidays in some nice place, please do say hello in the comments. We always love that, and we can put those comments on the screen. So let's keep this interactive.
Okay.
So now let's jump into your story, Anna, right? How was it for you, Anna, when you first joined Flourish Financially? What was your kind of emotional landscape around money like? And could you share something, what was working for you and what you were hoping to change?
Absolutely. So, gosh, it feels like a whole different lifetime. Yes. But I think my main feeling around money when I joined and before joining was a sense that I was not fully in control of my money and my relationship with money. Yeah, sometimes I described it as feeling somewhat out of control. Now that I'm looking back, I guess what was really missing for me was intentionality around my approach with money. So, you know, it was fine in the sense that I had more incomings than outgoings, but I never fully felt like I knew how much was reasonable to spend. I didn't, you know, every single time I was spending money, it was a bit like, is this okay now? Is this not okay? Can I afford this? Can I not afford this? And I also wasn't particularly good at putting money aside, at saving money. That was not a priority of mine. And it was almost something that felt icky. You know, there was a resistance that I had. And at the same time, there was this voice in my head that was like, oh, but saving's good. You should be saving. Why are you not saving? So it was a whirlwind of emotion. There was kind of this voice of the should. There was the voice of I don't want to. Then there was a mix of kind of shame and guilt also, you know, looking at other people in my life being very strategic about their finances, very good at planning, very good at like setting aside money and investing money. And I just felt a bit, I think I just felt like a kid, you know, that was a bit like, whoa, this is all so overwhelming. And I don't know if I can get a handle on all of this. And yeah, so there was a lot of that. There was also an element of feeling like if I were to budget, if I were to start saving, if I were to take control, that would feel highly restrictive. So that kind of came into the mix as well. And you know, one of the things that I grew up with, you know, speaking of financial past, is an important figure in my family, kind of constantly saying, don't focus on how to save money, focus on how to make money. And you know, I come from a very entrepreneurial family, and I can see how for an entrepreneur or an entrepreneurial mindset, that statement makes a lot of sense. However, for a long period of time, I was in a salaried job where in reality, you can't really maximize your earnings to the same extent as you can if you're an entrepreneur. And so I think what that did inadvertently is it precluded me from taking ownership over savings, not focusing on increasing earnings. So it was just, yeah, bit of a confusing and overwhelming place to be in when I first started.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it's true, because of course we have had quite a bit of discussion and conversation in time together, and also separately in different coaching sessions. But it was so interesting what you said about the confusion sometimes, because this is what we realize when we start doing this work, is how much in our brain sometimes the thoughts or the concept get mixed up, and it creates this association of ideas. It's almost like, because it's fair to say you are going through a transition in your life as well, because you're saying you had changed jobs, you had started a new career, you were more entrepreneurial than before, but at the same time at an earlier stage perhaps in that journey too. So how to make money, so then you don't, and we start to assimilate everything together into some of these thoughts. Do you have actually some example maybe of a money situation that you had in that moment that you really realized, I really feel, whatever word you wanted to use to describe that, typical of them?
I mean, I'm not sure it's kind of one individual situation, but it was whenever somebody was asking me, are you investing? I would instantly start feeling guilty about it and overwhelmed and a bit like put on the spot, even though it was meant as a conversational question. I would instantly feel like, ooh, I've been discovered in my inadequacy. That there was so much feeling of inadequacy. And I also distinctly remember, and I think this is worth mentioning because it's changed so much. I remember me going to the hairdresser last year, and then my brother asking me, how much did that cost? And I told him it was a proper hair dye and so on. And these things, as we know, ladies, they can cost quite a bit.
That's another subject on the pink tax, but we can discuss that. Okay, yeah. So
absolutely. But so I told him, and then when he heard that, he was like, gosh, well, how much are you earning if you can afford to pay for a hairdresser that much or spend that much on a hairdresser? And it instantly made me feel so, again, guilty about my choice. I kind of really felt, and this wasn't about him, right? It was me not fully owning my choices because I didn't have that bird's eye overview and because I wasn't intentional. And so this comment of his, which probably wasn't meant, I'm sure it was not meant in a bad way at all, it really triggered a lot of questioning and a lot of doubt within me. And the funny thing is that I shared this with both of you a few weeks ago. I had a very similar moment with my brother a few weeks ago where we were talking about a subscription, and I mentioned that I'd recently started paying it, and then he was like, well, that is like, again, some comment around like, wow, you're spending a lot. I mean, it was a not expensive a subscription, but it didn't trigger me at all because I was like, yeah, I am so like, I made a plan, I have made a budget, I know what my monthly budget for subscriptions is, I feel good about that budget, and this thing fits in super beautifully. And that felt so grounding and so reassuring. And I just felt very, I kind of, as it's a term that you two have coined, but I just, it really resonates, like financially unbreakable. I felt very like, yeah, this is me. This is what I'm doing,
Yeah. So good.
Oh, wow. It's so good to hear this, Anna, and these words that you're saying, they're so powerful, like from moving from this, I think you said inadequacy, and also failing like a child or feeling like a kid or not knowing kind of what was reasonable, right? There was a lot of self-doubt, I guess, underneath in all of that. And now it sounds like it's very self-assured or confident, right? It's really a big shift, actually.
100%. I absolutely agree, because I mean the feelings of inadequacy and of shame and guilt, they are so deep and powerful, and I guess what they and I sense this on some level, right, which was also the reason why I sought out your course and decided that that's what was the right next step for me. Because the sense I had is these things, they're not going to go away. They're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger if I keep them in the shadow. Whereas if I actually shine some light on them, then maybe they become smaller and more manageable than they felt previously. And that's exactly what happened with your help.
Yeah.
That is,
yeah. No, sorry, I was going to say it links so nicely also to the next subject, of course, that we wanted to talk about, which is if you can, I don't know how possible it is to describe a little bit in your own words, what would you say was the process that helps you to shift a little bit this narrative or narratives that you had about money, and either in thinking, beliefs. Did you feel there was a moment when something clicked more specifically?
Absolutely. Yeah, there was actually a very distinct moment for me when the click happened. But I also think it's important to say that it didn't happen in isolation, right? It was only possible because of everything that had preceded that moment. And this must have been maybe 3 and we had already started looking, or I had started looking at my numbers. So one of the things that we obviously do in the program is actually really looking concretely at all the numbers. What's my balance sheet? What are my monthly incomings, outgoings? Which was a scary thing, like a daunting thing to look at. And so, you know, that had already happened. And the dust had settled on kind of really looking my numbers in the eye, so to speak, and really knowing what the situation was. So I think that was a really important prerequisite, because that was already starting to shine some light onto these things that had been kept in the dark, and it had made me feel like, okay, I can do this. This is possible. It might bring up a lot of emotions, but I am doing it. So that was happening. And in parallel, there was obviously a lot of the kind of the more psychological work of reviewing past narratives and thinking about money beliefs that were maybe no longer serving me. So I think that also was a really important prerequisite. But to come back to the aha moment or the click, that was actually when I was sitting at home doing some journaling off of the journaling prompts that you had provided. And I tried to do it most days, and it was like 5-10 minutes of journaling, which is really not that much, right, of a time commitment and so on. But I remember writing, and I can't even remember what the topic was, but I think I started writing something about how budgeting and saving can actually be really empowering. And once I'd written this down, I was like, whoa, did I just write this down? Because it was so contrary to what I'd been thinking and feeling at the outset of this journey. And it was almost like the shift did not happen here, because in my mind, I'd already known for a while that I wasn't quite happy with what I was doing. But that shift, it happened kind of on a deeper level, on a much more kind of emotional and somatic level. So it's even difficult to really put it into words, but it was that felt sense of, yes, actually, this is not a restrictive thing. This is an incredibly empowering thing. And that's exactly what I want to do. So it was, I'm not saying that the change happened in a second, because there was a lot of work leading up to that change. But it was almost like a switch had been flipped. And the moment that it was flipped, like there was no going back. Yeah, it was a very powerful moment for me.
It's incredible. I just love like how you describe it, even in those words, right? How it's feeling almost a bit physical in a way, right? Of course, yes, there was a lot of that process. So I remember also like these sessions where we really took the time to look at the numbers. You know, it was maybe something that wouldn't have felt easy before. It's like kind of facing the reality, looking into the mirror, then like, actually, it's really those thoughts. You can change them, right? You can actually. And then the reality somehow looks different to you, right? Now, actually, I am able to manage this. It's such a powerful transformation, right? But I know there are a lot of women out there, and men, of course, for sure as well, who are feeling like that, who are not feeling, who are feeling maybe shame or guilt indeed, and are reluctant to start that process actually of kind of facing it, owning it, and then doing something about it. It's not easy, right?
It's also interesting how you describe that it was step by step, because it's true that it's really something we've taken into account from previous experiences and also in your journey, how it needs some time for, I mean, you mentioned the dust to settle, but it's really about, yes, you need to go look. And we all have areas where we're scared to look. So there's really no judging in that. And it's so important to say, you know, well done, because it takes a lot of courage to have done that. And it could be this, or it could be another area of our finances. It depends on different people. But to look at the numbers is often, it's true, something that many of us haven't done, like quite in the way as structured as it is. And it's really impressive to hear also how you felt, okay, this is what I'm doing. I am doing it.
Yes.
Really.
And let me put here just a comment from the audience as well. Mimosa is saying greetings from Belgrade.
Very nice.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Mimosa. Really appreciate it.
If anyone else wants to add questions, react, we're getting the comments, it seems, so yes. Good stuff.
Indeed. Anna, next question to you. We actually wanted to also talk a bit about the practical side. So you went through a big transformation in terms of how you feel about finances. How did this actually then translate into the practical side, right? Were there some specific habits that you started, or some financial tools that you found helpful, or strategies that you're using that now actually feel natural or even joyful to you, that might have been something that you resisted before?
Absolutely. Actually, quite a lot has been added to my repertoire of financial practices. So one thing I did is I came up with a very kind of well-structured budget of, how much do I want to spend per month. Obviously, how much can I spend, but also how much do I want to spend? And that was such a beautiful way of framing it, where it wasn't like, I need to spend less on this, or I need to spend less on that. It was more like, within what I can spend, how much do I want to spend, and what do I want to spend it on? And it didn't feel restrictive, but it felt putting intention behind it and saying, okay, like, for instance, for me, I really value personal development and personal growth. So then saying, okay, I'm going to apportion X% of my discretionary monthly budget to to coaching, to training, to retreats, and because that's such an important part for me and who I am, then let's do that. Something that I actually have noticed that brings me less joy is buying physical things. I also kind of look back at kind of past spends and reviewed which ones gave me joy and which ones did I end up regretting. And a lot of the more physical stuff ended up being bit useless. So I was like, okay, let me spend less on this. I actually want to spend less on that because that doesn't give me joy, and it's something I look back on and think, why did I do that? So basically, in terms of practical things, it was getting very intentional about what I want to spend on and defining these categories and kind of creating that budget, and then also getting an app to track every single one of my expenses. So even if I like pop downstairs and buy myself a coffee for, I don't know, $2.50, I will put that in the app. And at first I thought, oh my God, this is like, it's going to be so much work. But it's not. It takes 2 seconds and it gives you a proper overview of how much you're spending on all the different categories in real time. I mean, if you talk about being in control, that to me feels like super being in control. And what I've also added is kind of a month end review. So at the end of the month, I'll look at all of my spend and compare it to the forecast and just see, hey, how am I doing? Am I overspending, underspending? Do any of these categories need adjustments? And I'm pleased to say that within the first 3 months or so of doing it, I was always within like a 10% margin of error. I was within budget. So, that felt really, really good and continues to feel really good. And I have also started investing finally. And finally, and it's so much more doable than I ever thought it would be. And I feel really good about it. So yeah, these are just some of the practical things that I've implemented, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear this. I mean, in the end, it's the little habits, but the consistency counts, right? These are the forces that will be the positive forces that are actually helping you, supporting you. No matter what happens in the future, you will have kind of more foundation, more reserves, more things that you've set aside for yourself. It doesn't have to be like some huge thing. Actually, simplicity is what mostly works the best, right? And actually, the power of these things is immense. Like you start seeing the results quite quickly. Like when you start doing those things in the background, like it also really starts adding up, right?
It's also the combination with the thought, right? Because once again, sometimes we know that, if we had told you from day one, okay, you can use an app, you would have laughed in our face, right? You would have said, yeah, well, thank you for the tip. And in reality, we have ideas what we want to do. Sometimes we already have the concrete tips, or we know exactly what tools we want to use. But in reality, I sense, to me, what changed is really this desire for you to really get, I'm going to play on words because we talk about that in the program, to this idea of having an intimacy, your relationship with money. So you got much closer to it, and you decided to do that for yourself, right? When you had that thought, I'm doing it, I'm going to do it, and then you do it. And such is the power of thought, right? It's not like you thought you were, not going to be in control of your budget, and actually you were very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, I just wanted to say that I absolutely agree that it's all about this combination, because as in of the practical things, the mindset. And I had previously, a couple of years ago, as part of a coaching program that I was in, we also started talking to a lesser extent, as in much more confined, but about money. And it already was a very powerful experience for me, but doing only the kind of the introspection and looking at the beliefs without also looking concretely at the numbers,
Yeah.
it didn't work for me. I felt a bit like, yeah, I'm starting to do the work, but I don't have the tools to finish the journey or to really embark on the journey. And so that was actually something that really drew me to this program, because I also knew, you know, I'm a coach myself as well, right? I knew that if I just went to a financial advisor who told me to download an app and do X, Y, Z, it wouldn't create the lasting, sustainable change that I was looking for. So this I felt very clearly that what would work best for me, and probably for many other people, is the combination, and that's really what drew me to Flourish Financially.
Yeah. And define what is your recipe, right? Because it's in the end, there are probably lots of resources out there, but at least you can make a choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like you said, right, you had heard investing before from your friends or colleagues, but that didn't actually, that doesn't mean that it translates into an actual strategy that you own, that you feel good about, that is part of your plan, right? Like you can hear these good advice from different places, but that doesn't mean that you're actually really feeling it, doing it with intention, with feeling good about it, right? It's a very different thing.
100%, because then it feels like a should, like that's what society expects, so that's what the reasonable thing to do, or the prudent thing to do is, but it doesn't feel intrinsic. It doesn't feel like, yes, I'm really connecting with this, and it really has a kind of a very concrete and personal meaning for me. And that is something that I think was really important in the work that we did together, is to actually take a step back and take the freedom of exploring what's actually really important to me, and having the freedom to say, I don't care about this. And yes, society might be big on this, but this is actually not part of my value system. And how can I make this work within a system that is a value system that is truly mine? And that freedom has been really important for me, because I think that's what allowed it to really click for me. Because it didn't feel imposed from the outside, but it felt very much kind of generated from within, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think it again reflects a little bit your, I don't like to say that, I'm not meaning in a condescending way, but what you said about almost growing up, feeling like you were going from that stage of maybe being told what to do. And that's also why we don't provide directly advice, right? It's the point about doing the coaching work, so you can get the tools for yourself and decide what's right for you. And so it's really, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense what you're describing. So actually, we're talking about embracing your financial story here. I'm curious, what would you say to maybe women or a woman who is feeling stuck right now? Maybe she's reading us or watching the video. What do you think helped you take ownership of your story in a way that is more empowering?
I think a big part of it was getting to the point where the kind of the cost of not changing anything got higher than the kind of the comfort or reward I was getting from not looking there. So that was part of it. What also really helped was tapping into curiosity, and kind of tapping into, okay, where there is resistance, there's usually something interesting and exciting to uncover. So let's look there, and explore, and kind of harnessing, that curiosity into this topic. And for me, I strongly felt that I needed help, or not needed, I wanted help on this journey. And again, as a coach, I'm an ardent believer in coaching. And we're so often told that we have to know it all ourselves and figure it all out ourselves and do it all ourselves. But really, that's not true. Sometimes the more courageous thing is to get that help, I think that made the process so much easier and so much more palatable for me. So yeah, I would say it's a combination of like getting to that point where you just feel like, yes, the change wants to happen, then tapping into that inner curiosity and not shying from getting help.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is that you were also open to look at that, risk reward mechanism, almost like you were open to say, okay, I get it. There's part of me that wants to change, but there's also part of me that kind of likes not to change. And that's okay. Let's make peace with that.
Yeah.
But I decide that, etc., etc. And tapping into curiosity to help you with the fear was also very, very
Yeah.
powerful. So, yeah, so
And
tell this one, be curious, probably, I guess. Stay open, be curious, ask for help if you think you can benefit. Sorry, Minna.
No worries. No, it's something that just popped into my mind while Anna was speaking was, I think it came up in some of our conversations, was this like kind of being compassionate to yourself as well. Because there are those strong feelings sometimes of feeling ashamed or feeling inadequate or such emotions. And then it can get actually quite hard to even get help. Because that means that you have to, in a way, face it. And at least us, we want to really create this to be a very safe, non-judgmental, we're not here at all like to judge anything of the past. If anything, like to understand it, look at it with compassion, and then face it, right? And then move on and focus on a positive future, right? But that can be, I think, really hard for many who are like facing these difficult emotions. It's just, it requires some courage, and you, Anna, had a lot of courage, and you have a lot of self-awareness as well. So really, it's really amazing that you took that decision, even with everything that was going on. So
thank you. Yeah.
I think the power of the circle of women also is really something to be said there, because I think, we share about our stories as well. That's what we're trying to do partially with the money conversations. When we get on stage, there's always the part of the conversation that's about what we faced on our journeys, both Minna and myself. And in the program, we also use that same kind of approach, right? That we also have things that we have faced that we're happy to share, and to hear the stories of the different people when they're ready to share. There's no pressure, obviously, but it's done from these different exercises, perspective, tools, moments, to enable the readiness to be there is really very interesting, because everybody has money stories. That's what I believe, I think.
Oh yes, we all have them, no matter what we what we think. I think they are definitely there. I would like to also ask if anyone from the audience is there, if there has been something that particularly resonated from Anna's story, or if you also would have some questions to Anna, or of course to us. It would be really nice to hear, and we can take it here to the conversation.
Yeah.
While we wait for this, I'd love to ask you, Anna, still, what feels to you now kind of exciting or peaceful? Pick any positive emotion you want about your relationship with money, and what are you kind of looking forward to in the next chapter?
Yeah, that's a nice one. I think the predominant, it's an image that I have in my head is money is my ally. We work together, as opposed to it being something that controls me or something that I need to control. It's more like we are a well-functioning tandem. So that imagery that really works for me, and I think somewhere in the resources that you provided, I read something like, I treat my money with the respect and the care that it deserves, and in return, it provides me the freedom and choice, or something along those lines. And that really deeply resonated as a vision, as a mantra for my relationship with money. So there's definitely that, and then there's this groundedness that I mentioned earlier, where if somebody makes a comment around, are you investing, are you not investing, or, oh, you've spent this much on that, it no longer shakes me, because I know that it is actually well thought through and grounded in my values. And that I was recently talking to a close friend of mine, and I also kind of in the effort to normalize talking about money more openly, I very openly shared my numbers with her and my budget, and I said, and I spent this much on that and this much on that and this and that. And then she said to me, she was like, wow, that's just you. That's just exactly you, And that was great. It was like, yeah, I don't want to feel so in a way it becomes about so much. It becomes about not just embracing my relationship with money, but also fully embracing myself, and to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I live my life. And I'm fully behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's often what we hear about money, right? That it's almost like a bit of an expansion of who we are, that, because people think that almost like money makes us do things, or is like creating certain, I don't know, moral or immoral behaviors and this kind of thing, and to realize it's more of an extension, right, rather than something that happens to us. That's really interesting. And I loved when you were talking about imagery and how you mentioned groundedness and money being my ally, and this like dance, almost like this whole thing going on. And I mean, I'm not revealing anything by saying at some point we were talking about taming a wild horse, if I recall, on some of our conversations. And it's interesting, the imagery is very different, right? There used to be a bit more like, I need to control that part of my life, and I'm like trying to tame the horse. And now it's much more, okay, no, I'm grounded, like, it's so interesting.
We have moved away like from that horse that I was like, oh my God, it's going to run away. I need to like catch it.
Hold it. Yeah.
It is so, like, for me, it almost makes me shiver when you say that. It's so like powerful to me. Like, it's like this, like, money is my ally. Like, you're like a team, right? It's it doesn't control me, but I don't also need to control it. It's there. It's like a tool that is there for me, right? And it's just it's really a beautiful picture. I hope like many more people would have this kind of so grounded and so balanced. Like, I just like simply have like no doubts that you wouldn't be successful with your money in the future. And I hope you feel that as well. Like deep inside.
I think so. Yeah. Well, no, I think I feel I feel very optimistic, very hopeful, very like, it doesn't feel like this is a short-term fix that might like escape me like that horse if I don't cling on, strongly enough. It feels like it's been a fundamental change, and yeah, it's only onwards and upwards from here.
Yeah, thank you for these wonderful words, really. And of course, we've been with you along the way, but not doing the work. So well done. Big congratulations. And we got just a comment from Mimosa again. So very nice.
Yes. Oh.
Okay, so you're putting it in parallel, I think, Minna.
So one more practical part is as important as the decision making. Yeah, Yeah, I think this is the key. This is something that is quite unique that we do in this program, that we really bring all that mindset work from coaching, from positive psychology, and then this financial planning, like together. Like otherwise it seems like as if those two worlds wouldn't be talking to each other, but they absolutely do. And when they do it together, it becomes like just much more powerful, right? So thank you, Mimosa, for that lovely comment.
Thank you. We had planned a few minutes now to talk about the next step, possibly for people in the audience who are here, if they're wondering whether something is possible also, like the amazing experience of Anna would be possible for them. And we're really here to support. So I'm going to share my screen and should be coming on. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So yeah, so that's the famous program that we were talking about, that you were really kind enough and courageous enough to decide to try on with us this year. It lasts 5 months. We have our next cohort for the program starting in September, the last week of September, I think on the 28th and 29th, we have the first group sessions. And the idea here is really, we've created a wealth and mindset academy for women. The idea is to develop financial confidence, and really we've tried to bring it together in a way that allows the women we know are very busy and they are time scarce, and at the same time they're curious and eager to learn. So we try to fit this as a transformational experience, but that's also fits the lifestyle. So it's an idea that there's a moment when women feel like, okay, it's time to really grow on that chapter of my life, through the transition, for example, you were mentioning, perhaps a form of accumulation that has been going on for a while, but really feeling, okay, I deserve more, like I deserve to flourish, and explore that in a very structured, compassionate way. So we combine financial planning, as we said, investment coaching, life coaching, also positive psychology is really important. And the idea is to learn, relearn, revise how to make financial decisions, how to really look at your transitions in life in a way that is very well integrated with your finances. And we do that in group settings. Also, there is individual one-on-one coaching sessions. And it's really the best part of it is, of course, the community, right? It's really, there's a supportive community of women. They are smart, they are accomplished, and they're on their journey. So each of us is on a journey in a way that's almost philosophical. And we get together and we talk about money. So if that sounds like something that's interesting for the people who joined us today or watching this replay, the waiting list is open. I mean, I don't know when you catch the replay, but it's open until the end of September 2025. And please send us an email at hello@flourishfinancially.org. And we can propose you slots to have one-on-one conversations about your specific situation. And as of today, we wanted to offer something a bit special. I don't know, Minna, if you want to say a few words about that. So typically we offer one-on-one session to really have a discovery about what the program is. But today we thought...
Yes, we wanted to offer to those of you who are interested and who have stayed with us until this far, an exclusive personal discussion with Sophie and with myself together. So something of a personal coaching, right, where we can help you just get a status check of where you are, clarify your financial goals, discuss mindset and personal next steps. So this is quite a nice way to actually discover a bit, where do you stand, what could be possible next steps to you. And yeah, we would love to give, I think we said 3 sessions like that, Sophie, to people who are interested. So please just send an email to us, hello@flourishfinancially.org, and then we will get in touch with you about how to book the session with us. So really, really recommend it, and looking forward to it. But since we have Anna here online, I wanted to ask you, Anna, if you had some comment you wanted to do about the different components of the Flourish Financially program, because you went through it, right? You had the group sessions, the community, the one-on-ones. Is there something that stuck with you particularly, or what would you say to anyone who is considering?
I think it was really just a winning combination of everything. That's really what made it most valuable for me. That there was the one-to-one coaching was so good for accountability, right? Like knowing, okay, I've got a call with Minna coming up like next week. I need to do these numbers, even though I really don't want to do these numbers. So, you know, having that accountability element was very powerful for me. But also feeling like, because we had obviously Q&A sessions, right, between the kind of the content and the input sessions. And so knowing, hey, there is this space for me to share any questions, any doubts, to also just give an update on this is where I'm at in my journey, and to feel like it was a safe and supportive space without ever having kind of that toxic positivity of everything is great. No, it was like exactly the right mixture of self-compassion and warmth and safety, and at the same time accountability. And so kind of that atmosphere together with then all the different puzzle pieces was just a winning combination for me, really.
Thank you, Anna, for those kind words. I mean, I think this is so great to hear for us with Sophie, because we're so excited to try to make this as helpful as possible, and to hear this, it's so great.
But we have something special coming as well.
Yes, so, let's not forget that to end this session.
Minna, I let you take this one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in my city, in Zurich, Switzerland. So we have a live event coming up, which is called The Sound of Money, Compose Your Own Financial Symphony. So we will be having this live event on the 8th of September in Zurich, and we will have our wonderful pianist Ayumi Broadbeck joining us. Yeah. It's going to be quite an interesting evening where we blend this beautiful piano music with a deep financial reflection and inspiration, I would say. It's quite a unique combination, the arts and the financial part, but actually it works quite nicely in common, and really can bring something new, maybe new realizations. So would really love to welcome anyone who is around to join us, and we will soon start promoting more about this. So stay tuned. The tickets will be available soon.
Yeah, and we had a fantastic event in Luxembourg actually a few weeks ago, and really already in the space of the time of the event, so that is like 1 hour of really performance, and then there's networking and drinks and introductions and meeting other people. Really it shifted something in quite a few participants, and that was again really wonderful to see actually again the power of this guided reflection with the right tools, right? Because it's also something that is being now proven, right? Also in terms of positive psychology, that when you're able, whether it's through music or other activity, to generate this kind of emotions that enable people to be more open, to be more curious, you can really start to have some interesting insights, and surprising ones at that. So yeah, I mean, looking forward to come to Zurich.
Yes, welcome, Sophie. And Anna, if you can make it as well, that would be amazing. And I see that Mimosa was writing as well, just putting the last comment before we close down. Actually, this is interesting. Afraid to look into the figures. She's felt that as well. She's also a fellow coach and would like to help women on the Balkans to learn how to own their own finances. Love that. Mimosa, we should discuss. Let's be in touch. We would
offline, as we say.
Yes, exactly. Let's discuss. Love to hear this. I think when women help each other, it's just so powerful.
All right, so we made it. It was a real pleasure again to be connected today with 14th Money Conversation. We're planning a next one in the course of August. We're gonna shed another perspective on financial journeys, possibly with a person who went through the program as well, who Anna will know for sure, because you know the ladies on the program, but we haven't confirmed yet. So we're not dropping any names at that stage. So that's going to be exciting. And of course, for anyone who wants to get in touch with us, we have our website, flourishfinancially.org. You can find information on the program. And we're soon going to have our new pages on the work we do with organizations that we've started also, having corporate workshops, etc. All online, also some photos from the events that we had, some replays. So it's a fantastic brand new website. We're very excited about that. And any question, you can also drop us a line by email, hello@flourishfinancially.org. So yeah, thank you so much. It was really, really nice.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you from our hearts. And thank you to everyone who was listening. And thank you, Mimosa, as well.
Thank you both, and thanks to everyone.
All right. So see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.